Welcome to another episode of Mark Mega Maestro. As you know, I did promise to bring better quality videos, and so I purchased a DJI Osmos Plus, in which I'm using right now. I'm actually still trying to learn how to use this gimbal kind of setup. Now, it is pretty cool because it gives you smooth footage. So I'm trying to make good content for the next videos that will be coming up on this channel, which will talk about basically everything: health, working on cars, being a father, and just daily life. You know, I'm real sorry that I've not been able to bring you consistent videos, but I'm working on it. I've got a lot of things in my life that I have to do, and you know what? I'll tell you one thing right now. I know a lot of other people do too, but you know, my life is quite busy. Probably not as busy as yours, but I just need to be able to prioritize my time. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you my latest project. I had a Jaguar. That one is gone. It's fixed up. I had a Jaguar with a bad Jaguar XF Supercharger 2009. There was a hole in the engine, and I decided that I was not going to buy a new engine for that car and fix it. I just decided to sell it off and get my money back, which is something that I did. I was able to do that, thank God. So let me show you what my next project is. As you see behind me, there is a Porsche Cayenne. This is a Porsche Cayenne S. I've already made a video about this, and I would like to jump into detail of what I've been doing on this car, okay? Now, this car, I like V8 cars for some reason. I don't know why, I just love them. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that I've been able to do. There's one thing left to do on this car. But I'm going to talk to you about every single thing that I've done, from the tiny things to the big things. So I'm going to turn the camera around so we can see what I'm talking about. Alright guys, I had to buy a used tire because this tire was completely done. But as you guys know, if you guys don't know, in this well right here, put the camera down, in this well right here, there is a after run pump or an auxiliary water pump. You have to take off this plastic part right here. See if I can get up here. You have to take off this plastic part right here, and the after run water pump is actually situated right about here. Okay. If those go bad, of course your car could overheat. So when I first got this car, I noticed that it was how should I say this? The needle of the temperature gauge was going a little past 180, and I'm not used to that. You know, even when I bought my BMW, and that would happen. When you see that on a BMW, that's like danger. That's like danger signs right there. So, let me put the focus here. So this is the interior of the car. The interior of the car is actually not that bad. It's a very, very good interior. I'm going to explain that the gear lever kind of button, the whole thing is off. I'm going to explain that later. But I want to pop the engine and tell you exactly what I've done so far on this car. That's my son right there. Oh, he's saying hi. Hello. All right, let's go over here. My wife does some gardening, so the stuff is there. And I have my engine hoist and my ramps. This car is very interesting. Okay, so now this is what I've done with the help of God, of course, because this stuff can be very intimidating if you don't know what you're doing. This is actually my second Porsche. The first one was a V6, and this one is a V8. When I first got this car, I started it for the first time, and it was really shaky. And I noticed there was a lot of oil dripping on each. Well, basically, there was a lot of oil residue everywhere. I took out the spark plugs. There was oil. I took out I touched on the side of the engine there was oil. I touched on the other side of the engine there was oil. So, and the car was misfiring. The engine light kept on blinking. The start was really rough. And so what I did is that I did some research, and of course, you know, the valve cover gaskets on this car has to be done at a certain amount of a certain mileage range, and I don't know that mileage, but it has never been done on this car, and I decided to, you know, brave the task of getting the valve cover gaskets done, which I have done both sides. The most difficult bolts to get out of the valve cover gasket. Let me close this door because I don't want to waste the battery. I'm going to do a cold start for you guys too. The most difficult screw to get out of the car is actually down here. There's a screw down here. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, there's a screw down here. It's very hard to get, but you know, with a little bit of trial and error, using some very small tools that I got from Harbor Freight, I was able to get that out. Now, and again, at the bottom here, there's a screw right there that is also, let me see, this thing's leaking oil. Everything is fine, it's not leaking any oil. I had to get that screw out, and we put everything back together. Sorry about that. My kid is running on the road. I mean, why do you run on the road? Hey, can you go inside, please? Can you stay on the grass area? Thank you. Anyway, that's probably going to be on the video. Okay, so basically, I had to take this off. These are the fan for the. This is to, how should I say this? For the emissions. It helps to decrease pollution, basically. This and this. Then what else we got here? I changed the oil. Oh yes, you know what? What happened with the oil is that I was trying to get off the screw from underneath the car. Let me go ahead and turn around here. I was trying to get the screw from underneath the car, and what happened is that the person that tried to change the oil, because they did not change the oil, they failed. They stripped the screw that goes into the oil pan, and so when I went to try and open it some more, it stripped it even more, and that thing was not coming out. It was, the whole hole was stripped. I wish I had a picture. So what I had to do is I had to go to a Harbor Freight, and I bought a set of those screws that are counterclockwise, and you have to drill it in. I had to drill the hole, or I had to drill a hole in the screw, and I had to use one of those kind of counterclockwise drill bits and drill out the hole. I had to try. It took me about an hour. I had to try, and I finally got the screw in, and I drilled it out, and then what I had to do is get like a wrench and kind of twist it some more so I could twist out the screw, and it actually came out. Listen, that was very daunting, because when I made the hole, when I drilled the hole in there, a bunch of oil was coming out. So while the oil was, I had to wait for the oil to drain, and then it just took forever to drain. And so I decided, when it was still trickling down, I decided to just keep going. There's oil everywhere, and I was able to, which served as a lubricant, which is a good thing. And so I was able to drill the hole in there, put the holes, and use the little wrench, and I was able to pop it out, which is pretty good. I was happy about that. I actually found a drain bolt. And O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Is it O'Reilly's Auto Parts? Yeah, I found a drain bolt, generic Volkswagen drain bolt at O'Reilly's Auto Parts with the same measurement, and it fits perfectly. And I just screwed it on there and filled it with oil. And I actually also changed the filter. Funny enough, I found the oil filter at Walmart. I just looked at the part number, And it was the same, and I found it. So going back to the Porsche, what else have I done? Now, the headlights were not working. Let me turn this around. Let me show you. The headlights of the car was not working. Okay, let's see. I'm going to turn it around this way because this camera is having some issues right now. Okay, these headlights were not working. So what I did is that I checked. It's the weirdest thing ever. Okay, I checked the ballast. There's no way to really check the ballast. I checked the high beams. The high beams were working. The turn signals were not working, and the main low beam was not working. So I took this thing out. I took the whole headlight assembly out, and the wires inside were completely broken. The shielding for the wires, like the plastics of the wire, had come off completely. All the wires were touching, and I was like, "Wow, that is horrible." So what I did is that I actually had to bake the headlights, because on YouTube I watched you have to bake the headlights to take out the front part. And when I took out the front part, I was able to unscrew certain parts of the headlight so that I could get off some wiring, because I needed to take out the wiring to redo it. I had to go to Harbor Freight, and the name of that store again. I had to go to Harbor Freight, and I had to get wire insulation. You know those ones that you can wire insulation. You can get like a heat gun. After you cut the wire and you put it back together, you get a heat gun, and you basically blow on the insulation. Because it's so hot, it will actually melt together, and it will protect the wire. Excuse me, what are you doing? Can you please go back to that area where you're playing, please? This child of mine. Anyway, so that's what I did, and I took the other one out because I was expecting to do that on the other one, and the other one was not so bad. So what I went at Harbor Freight, I thought to myself, let me go ahead and get one of those liquid. It's kind of like Plasti Dip, but it's a liquid wire protection kind of, rubber or whatever kind of thing. So it wasn't so bad, but I did notice some cracking around the wire. So what I did is I sprayed a whole bunch of that stuff just to protect it and keep it together so it doesn't fall off. I don't know, eventually I'll have to probably take that off. If I still have the car, I'm probably going to get rid of this car, sell it, And what I did is I did that. I put it back together. I had to buy 2 bulbs. Both bulbs were bad. The xenon or HID bulbs were bad. And, I tried to troubleshoot. The other bulbs were not working. And so this first generation Cayenne has an issue with the connection for the headlights. If you're driving down the street and your headlight turns off, you have to go outside and kind of push it or hit it, and it will come back on. And this thing has a huge problem. It's a flimsy design where it's only one hook that keeps it situated. So if you go over a bump, you might bump the headlight out of the socket, and then you're in trouble because it's going to be dark. And so what you have to do is just come out and push it back in, and it should work. Now, that's one thing I'm very concerned about, because if I go over a bump, the thing is going to dislodge and the headlight's going to turn off. So anyway, some people, what they like to do is they like to unhook the connector from the base and plug it directly to the back, which works too. Okay. Alrighty, let's, what else do we do here? Oh, let's do a cold start. Let's do a cold start. What else have I done? I've done other things. Okay, yes, I wanted to explain the gear lever. Now, I think I bought this car at the auction. A pretty good deal, actually. I didn't even have the key. It was a keyless at the auction. That's a whole nother story. I was able to find the old owner and get the key. But let's look at the gear lever real quick. See if this one will go this way. Let's turn around this way, actually. Look at the gear lever. Guys, see, the gear leader thing is off. It's actually sitting right there. Okay? This thing right here, there's a mechanism that has been taken off which controls the disengagement of the gear lever. I'm still yet to fix that, but the car is still drivable, which is a cool thing. Let's see. All right, let's move on. Let's do a little cold start. I think I'm going to get my son to help me.
What do you need help with?
I want to do a cold start, see how it sounds. But yeah, this car is pretty cool. Okay, hey, can you help me do a cold start real quick? I'm going to get my son to help me out here. Okay, so what we're going to do, oh yes, another thing that I did. Okay, let me show you what I did. The exhaust, I did a little exhaust modification to where I took out, there is a part in there where I took out the, okay, I took this part out and I went to O'Reilly's Auto Parts and I bought, is it less than 2-inch kind of a exhaust fix, and I shoved it in there. I had to actually break off a little piece that's sticking out that kept the exhaust part, the exhaust fix kind of hose from getting in. I was able to break it off with an extension and a socket wrench on both sides, and I was able to slide it in, and I put this, I zipped this back in, the bolts back in, and the car sounds phenomenal. It sounds ferocious. Do it again. A little longer. Yes, buddy. Okay, thank you. Thank you.